button? Are we live yet? Rick, did you push the button?
I pushed the button.
So we're live and I'm not on camera? Hold on. Sorry, gang. Hold on, let me get through here. Hey, sorry. Welcome, people. Let me get rid of this thing. That was graphics. Here's our first mistake. Hey, welcome to Lights, Camera, Action, party people. Our first virtual live showcase. In the next 3 hours, we're going to go over some of our virtual programs. We are going to go over what we've been doing for the last 3 or 4 months to get ready for what we're all facing and have been facing for the last couple months. On Zoom with me right now, down in our Pennsylvania office, is the other owner, Jim Gillespie. As you can see, Tom Rose is up in the corner there, and he's out in the warehouse, but he'll be joining us on Zoom shortly as well. We also have our good friend Laura right here next to me. You can't see her. She wants to be off camera, but she is taking notes and getting all the comments that are going to happen. Jim, what have you been doing for the last 4 months?
Hoping that people will reach back out again. Obviously, I've touched base with any number of you that hopefully joining us at this point.
This isn't bothering me if I make noise around.
I guess you can look at things two different ways, you know. We've got a bunch of lemons, so we can either make lemonade or just stare at the damn lemons. So we're gonna make the best of it, and to all the students out there, I definitely want to make sure that everybody's aware. Just as soon as we can meet back live on campus in Dallas, the highlights today are also virtual programming showcase the super virtual stuff. If anybody who is in
What were the chances of that?
Pennsylvania, New York, or New England area, if we do have the availability to do live programming, by all means, just let us know. We're open for business.
That's awesome. Perfect. And as we go through the course of the afternoon here, we will go over some of our COVID plans that we've come up with, including some creative wristbands and a whole bunch of things. But joining us on Zoom, and joining us tonight, this afternoon, is our good friend Jim Spinato. He was there, and there he is.
Gillespie,
What a handsome man you are.
man, I miss you, Jimmy boy. I miss you.
I miss you too, James.
No, you don't, because you don't call.
And stuff, you know?
What's that?
You gotta stay socially distanced.
Everything good with you guys?
Yeah, all's well, man.
Yeah.
How about you?
Listen, I'm old, I'm fat, and I'm with you guys.
All right. Yeah, you're living the dream, brother.
I'm telling you, look, man, look. Yeah. Hey, how's your lovely wife? Both of you.
Good, and how's yours?
Good.
So, Jim Spinato, I have no idea, but let's get some things right out here. This is not your kids' magic show, correct?
Yeah, listen, yeah. How many people do we have on? Do I say anybody?
Over 1 million right now. No, but we're on Zoom, and the rest of the world is watching us on Facebook, so you can't see those people.
Oh, that's what it is? Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, listen, man, what I'm gonna show you when we're ready is just bits and pieces of my R-rated magazine I'm doing at the studio. So, when I get that out there, it's gonna be a kids' magic show, it's gonna be a little blue news story,
So you might unintentionally drop a bad word. See, now I have sound effects. I prepared for you. I have a variety of sound effects that might just come in at any given time.
Make sure that, you know, I want to piss
has. It has been a while.
Yeah. Well, what am I seeing? I'm seeing your desktop now?
We've got some comments coming in that we can't completely hear our Zoom friends, and we're gonna fix that, and hopefully that just fixed that right there. So Joshua, hopefully that fixed Jim Spinato and Jim Gillespie.
Jimmy, where are you? In Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna be there?
This, we've been back in the office for about a week or two, but, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
3.5 months at home has been interesting.
Yeah, I went back to work June 27th at the club, and I've done a couple of high school grad parties outside. I've got a couple of colleges outside coming up. It's weird, man. It's different.
Well, I mean, to give you a little background, and I mean, I don't know what Dave's told you, but for the audience listening out there, when all of this came down, you know, I think I found out about it March 6th. A buddy called me and said that, you know, we were starting to find cancellations. For us, it started the Monday after the 9th,
Yeah.
and I think we did our last live show on the 13th. So once everything officially went down, Dave and Tom and everybody, the gang up in Connecticut, just shifted operationally to try to pivot, you know, 450 events to a virtual format.
Ooh.
And you know, I mean, we're not. We're where we are today.
Yeah.
But you know, Scott and I down here ended up trying to do whatever we could to collapse everything financially and limit expenses so that we'd be able to do this today. You know, to be here and be live and know that we were, you know, going to be in business until however long this lasts.
Yeah. Did you guys do any online orientations?
A couple, yeah,
Yeah, good.
we did a couple,
Good.
and yeah, I mean, it was remarkable work up there because, you know, I mean, and I think this goes for a lot of students and staff out there. None of us got into this field to, you know, to be doing this.
It's a different world, man.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this just comes down to trying to make sure that we're doing it from a responsible way and trying to make the best out of it, because you didn't get into this to get rich, Jimmy, neither did Dave and I. I mean, the bottom line of this is having engagement for students, having them have the most positive experience that they possibly can. And
I got in to get rich. No.
yeah, there you go.
That's
But
why
I mean,
I'm still working.
you know, I know you're doing a lot of different gigs, but I mean, from our perspective here, when you get into the bulk of our work is with young people, and you know, I mean, everybody's perceiving this very differently. We've got a lot more life experience, but for these young people, I mean, they didn't sign up to go to college to be sitting in their parents' bedroom and, you know, learning online. I mean, not their parents' bedroom, but their bedroom at their parents' house is what I meant.
And just for the record, you are older than me.
Okay, we'll go with that. Is that part of the magic show?
I'm not that good.
All right, so a couple things here, both gyms. We're having some freezing and buffering issues, which I can see in the comments, which is this is a live event and we're doing the best we can for the first time. We are having a nice thunderstorm outside right now, so that could be affecting it. And if Jim Spinato and, well, both gyms, if they could speak up a little louder, especially during your magic show, which we'll get to shortly, that would be
I'll
awesome.
let you chat for a minute as I make a quick adjustment, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to Jim as soon as he gets back, and we'll do a magic show. I do see the comments, and Laura's helping me out with the comments that we are buffering, and it's freezing a little bit here and there, and we're making adjustments on the fly. One good thing is that we are recording this. We will post the recording after this on both Facebook, YouTube, and our LinkedIn accounts. And we'll clean the buffering up and the sound quality so you can hear it even better.
Yeah, I mean, for everybody out there, this has been an interesting ride. We had intended to do this last Thursday, and Mother Nature and 2020 reared its head again with Hurricane Isaias. which knocked out power to most of the Connecticut coast for sure, and probably other parts of Connecticut. And as of Wednesday, when we were hoping to be sending reminder emails out, the power still wasn't back on. So here we are. We pushed it back a week, and much like you on your campuses and other people that are out there watching, you know, we're doing a lot of things and then having to do them again. And that's just sort of what 2020 is about.
Mr. Spinato, are you ready for us?
Hold on there. Yeah. So everyone's watching on Facebook, which means so no one's watching on Zoom. I can only see you two guys. Is that correct?
That is correct. So there's
So that means you two guys are going to be my audience.
correct.
Yeah, pretty much.
Audience participation. It's you two guys. I'm in heaven.
And we'll get Tom Rosa will join us too. He's a little bit more. He's more fun than us.
Tom, don't leave me alone with these two guys because I need. Because what I do, you know, this magic thing that I'm doing involves a lot of audience participation. But it's COVID compliant because I'm not having people come up on stage. I'll ask them the names. I'll ask them to participate from their chairs. So, you know what I'm saying?
So Jim, let me ask you a quick question. So that obviously we're working on virtual here today. So that's fine virtually because they can't obviously come up on stage
Yeah.
and come into your. But if you were to do this live, you would also be able to do it live, but in a socially distant manner.
As my hypnosis show as well. Yeah,
Okay.
I am doing hypnosis shows at colleges. But again, there's got to be the distancing. The volunteers have to wear a mask. Obviously, I wear a mask. So I'm doing both shows. But when we're doing online stuff, obviously,
Yeah,
we're distant enough.
yeah, I got you.
What am I talking about?
I don't know, but we're just going to remind everyone again that this is for mature audiences only.
Yeah, I guess there was some interest in the Mature Magic Show. Am I correct?
Yes,
Because,
we've gotten a variety of calls for Not Your Kid's Magic Show, which I conveniently
that's
see in the
good, that's
back.
good. Is that Tom? Tom, what's up, baby?
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you, man.
What's that?
I said it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, sir.
You're lying. I'm telling the truth. All right.
Did I see Jim Spinato?
Oh,
Who is that? Oh,
Oh.
hey, what's up, baby? I miss you too.
What's up, man?
This is a nice reunion.
Hey, you never smile as much in a day as long as you talk to Jim Spinato once.
Rick, I love you, man. I hope everything's okay. All right, so listen, what do we do? Want me to do a few minutes?
I want you to do.
So again, I'm going to you guys are my audience because I can't see anybody on Facebook. All right. So normally I come out and I go, hey, Jimmy, I just want you to think of a card. I want you to think of any card at all. And when you have it, just say to me, Jim, I have it. So
I have it, Jim.
You have a card in mind?
I do.
Do me a favor, Jimmy, in a real loud voice, just yell out that card.
Jack of clubs.
Jack of clubs. Shit. Okay, somebody will say the six of spades someday, and I'll be good. Listen, Jimmy, since you fucked up the card trick, I'm gonna give you something else, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Those are my beats. Jimmy, in a moment, I'm going to ask you. This is a chance for you to redeem yourself.
Okay.
In a moment, I'm going to ask you to think of a number. I'm going to ask you to think of a number, say between 0 and 100.
Okay.
Because before I signed on, I went into my bedroom
Okay.
and I laughed and I wrote something down on this card, Jimmy. Okay.
Okay.
So once again, I want you to think of a number. Once you have it, just tell me that you have it.
I have it.
In a real loud voice, Jimmy Gillespie, who I miss more than anybody. Yell out the number that you were thinking of.
22.
22. Get the hell out of here. Seriously?
Yeah.
Because look at this. Jimmy. It's a 22. Holy shit. It's a fucking magic show. Thank you.
I'm so glad I got one right, Jim. Jeez.
This is one of my favorite tricks. I do this all the time at the comedy club. Tommy,
Yes.
Tom, this trick is so good, by the way, that when I do this trick, all of you will go like this. You'll all go, holy shit, Jim. Understand? When I do this trick, because it's so good, you will all yell out, holy shit, Jim.
I got it. I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Tom?
Yes, I'm ready.
Look at Tom. That's what 1968 looked like. Tommy's face right there. Look. Very good. So watch this. Here we go. I take the handkerchief and I poke it inside my hand. Gillespie. I poke it all the way inside my hand, just like this. All right. I wave my hand over like this. I say the magic words, which happen to be Abra Viagra. And look, kids, the handkerchief, and here comes your part, disappeared.
Holy shit, Jim.
Jim?
That's right. But I will tell you where it went. Look, you guys see that line right there? Well, we all have that line. Tom, can you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Tommy could care less. With me, Jimmy, that's like a trap door. If I open that trap door, see, the handkerchief comes out. Holy shit, Jim.
Holy shit.
We have to do it one more time. Are you beeping out all my swears?
Only some of them.
Okay. We'll do it one more time. And then I'll move on. Jimmy, I place the handkerchief in my hand. You understand?
Yeah.
I place it all the way inside because it's a friggin' magic show, Jimmy. I pull it just like this, right? Like that. I say you've been to Hawaii, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
We're gonna now we say the magic Hawaiian words. Kamana wana leia. And look,
I don't want to lay ya.
the handkerchief. Holy shit, kids!
Oh!
Oh.
Well, let me show you where it went. Jimmy, you have to look at me. You ready?
I'm looking.
Come on, for God's sake.
Ah.
It's a goddamn magic show, kids. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Holy shit, Jim.
So listen, being in this business is like a rule that you have to do card tricks. In fact, I was watching, this kid Matt Frankel, who won America's Got Talent, is a pretty good.
Yeah.
He was on last night doing a card trick. So I thought I could do a card trick with you guys. Okay.
Sure.
So, hey Dave,
Yes.
I have a big deck and I have a little deck. What are you used to playing with?
A bit. I would like to play with the big deck.
I talked to Kim earlier. We'll use the tiny deck. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So listen, for this trick we need 10 cards. So just help me count. You ready? Here we go. We go.
One,
Come on, 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
6,
7,
7,
8,
8,
9,
9,
10.
10. Okay. So Dave, your job is to memorize every one of them. Do you get them?
Yeah, I got him.
You're full of shit. Okay. Your job is to actually confirm that we're only using 10. So we'll count them one more time and then we'll move on.
Got it.
Out loud, kids.
1, 2, 3,
3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right, so now we place the 10 cards in this goblet. You can see, I call that thing a goblet. Isn't it? Okay. So Dave, here's what I need for you to pick a card. So I can't reach out, and you can't pick a card. So I'll run my thumb down the edge of the deck, and whenever you get the urge to scream out, hey, Jim, stop, then I'll stop.
Got it.
Ready, Dave?
Stop!
Okay. Right here. Look. The only thing I care about is the denomination of this card, which is a 3. It's a 3. So my job, Dave, is to make 3 cards go from my pack to your pack over there. All right?
Okay.
3 cards transfer from here to there. Here we go. Watch. Card number 1. Did you see it?
I don't think so, no. I have to go back and look at the video and
That's
slow it down.
invisible, you horse's ass. That's why you didn't see it.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
All right. Well, look, here's it. But one flew over. Jimmy, one flew over, Gillespie.
Okay.
Here's the second one. Tommy, here's the second one. Watch. Did you see that go over there?
No, not in the least.
You guys suck. Here's the third one. Can you see that? It's a 9 of clubs.
I got it. Yep.
I got
Look,
it.
we take the 9 of clubs like this. I rub the back of my hand. I make some magical gesture. And look, the 9 of clubs, holy shit, kids, disappears. It disappears. Now watch. Remember over here, we started with 10.
10 cards.
And then we shot over
Yeah.
3.
3.
So I need for you to count these as I count them into the glass. Are you ready?
1,
1,
2,
2,
3, 4, 5, 6.
You are fucked up, you. Jesus. All right, let's do this again. You ready?
1, 2, 3,
3,
4,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ta-da! Oh, but wait. Remember that 9 of clubs that I shot over there?
Yeah.
Right, so we'll do a little trick with this 9 of clubs. I will simply, listen, I'm just going to tear a corner off like this. Normally, I would have you sign this for identification purposes, but obviously we can't do that. So I'm just going to tear a corner off. Place it over here. Can you see this? Can you see it right there?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, watch. And I'll end with this because. Jimmy, take the 9 of clubs, rip it. Tommy, rip it like this. I then crinkle the 9 of clubs into a little tiny ball. Yes. I go in my pocket, I get some magic dust. At the club it plays. Watch. Watch. Dave, watch those pieces, Dave.
I'm watching. I'm
Look
watching.
at this. I make a magical gesture. I go in my pocket. I get some more magic dust. I sprinkle the shit out of it. And look at this. Look at this. Tom, the cards have disappeared.
Holy shit, Jim.
Thank you. When they disappeared, they flew around my office like 46 times and then came back to me and hit me in the chest. And when they bounced off of my chest, Gillespie, they landed inside, Jimmy, of your right pants pocket. No, it didn't, but that'd be a good goddamn trick though, right? And so Jimmy goes and checks. I love that. I love it. Actually,
I believe in magic, Jim.
Jimmy, when they disappeared, Jimmy, they came back to me
Yeah.
and landed inside of my wallet. Because when I open this up, Jimmy, you'll notice that, holy shit. Okay, I think we're okay. Jimmy, the flames of my wallet have disappeared, but look, inside, in place of the flames, is a card. Is it any card, Dave Hume? No, it's a card that has a corner missing. Holy shit, it's the 9 of clubs with the corner missing. I will tell you, Tommy, that if this corner matches this card, it'd be a friggin' miracle, I think. Watch. Yep, I call that a perfect match, kids. That's it. Clap, Jimmy, clap.
Jim, that was.
That's it. That's just, that's a little bit of that. But the show's like 35 minutes long, and that's just a few things. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff without his participation. It's just stupid, it's fun, and there you go.
That's awesome.
You guys are the best audience that I've had all day.
You know what? We're gonna talk to you for a couple more minutes here, and we're gonna send Tom out into the warehouse to get ready for the next thing.
It's good seeing you.
Good to see you, buddy.
But while you're on, do you wanna promote any up and coming Mohegan or Foxwood shows? If you got any, do you got any?
Well, I'm not at Foxwoods anymore.
Okay.
I spent 5 years at Foxwoods. Yeah, now I'm at the Mohegan Sun at the. Have you guys been there lately?
I've not been there since the COVID.
Okay. Inside the Mohegan Sun, there's Comics Comedy Club, which is where
Right.
I'm at. I'm there every Saturday at 4, every Sunday at 5, doing the magic. And then I'm starting my hypnosis show up again in October. We're gonna take a little break from that. But yeah, it's been lots of fun. Anybody wants to check out this whole show, if they're in the area, tell them to email you. You email me their name, and I'll put them on the guest list.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think Gillespie ought to come up. He's been promising me for years.
I have, Jim.
Last time you promised me, I had all my hair in a waistline, Gillespie. That's how long it's been.
Well, I will say, Jim, I'm ready to get out of the house. That's for darn sure.
Come on up, baby. Come on up. I'll hook you up with a room and everything.
I honestly don't. I can't even keep up with it anymore. Is Pennsylvania on the no-fly zone to Connecticut, or are we okay?
Well, you know, I have to look at that because I have some magicians that come up from Pennsylvania to do the show with me, and no, we're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
In fact, next week I have a mentalist who lives in Pennsylvania coming up. Yeah.
I know it's been tough to keep up for our viewers out there too, because I mean obviously things are fluid and they change daily here, but you know, we're trying to keep up with it as best we possibly can, and you know, as far as everything is concerned, you know, we're still doing a lot of live events, and thanks to all of our schools out there who are actually, you know, doing everything that they can to get as much normalcy in these crazy times, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, so again, I mean, anybody out there listening, if you want Jim live,
Oh.
absolutely let us know about that, because, I mean, at the moment, most of our audience here, Jim, will be in our normal area, and we're talking about having another one of these once we are sure that we get the bugs worked out of this and work in the whole country on a virtual aspect, so.
Well, Jim's,
Definitely
it
be
is,
back in touch, Jimmy.
it is my job to keep the two gyms on a time schedule. And if I didn't do that, Mr. Gillespie would keep on talking and we'd run out of time for our next event, which is, so I appreciate you logging into Zoom, and
I'm done.
You're done.
Hey, James, good seeing you, man.
It's always a pleasure to see you guys. Thank you very, very much. I miss you guys. We'll talk soon.
Sounds
All right,
Jimmy.
sounds
Have a
good.
day.
Thank you.
All right, so people, we are going to go out into our warehouse with Tom, and we're gonna talk about our virtual photo programs. And Tom, we've got you on camera right now. I think you can potentially hear me. And
I can.
let's see if the people can hear you. And what are you doing out there?
How you doing? I'm Tom Rosa, and I'm here to introduce to you our virtual photo and novelty programs that we are offering here at the Party People. I've got a ton of stuff to show you, and we'll just get right down to it for now. For years, we've come on site to locations, your campuses, schools, whatnot, and we've made product for your students and our clients on site
While
to
we're
give
waiting for Tom,
to give
just
to
a
them,
couple
to walk
things
away
to our
with
audience
a
out
mug,
there.
a button,
Jim, Tom's talking.
a keychain. Now we are kind of forced to do that in-house and send the items to you. And we still offer the same amount of stuff. We can do it kind of at our leisure in a way. We can do it online here through Zoom. People can log in, talk to us, send us images or text. We can customize those items, and we can put it on a mug or a keychain or even a face mask. And I will just walk you through some of the process that we use to do some of that and show you some of the items we offer. One of the many things we offer are mugs. Either this is our new product, Camper Mugs. We can take any design, logo, photo, put it on the mug. We print out the photo, we adhere it to the mug and put it in a heat press for about 4 to 5 minutes, and then voila, it's done. We also offer morph mugs, which you can sort of see the design on this, but once hot liquid is added, you should be able to see it better. Hopefully that'll heat up a bit. Other items we offer are pennants and card caddies, and if you go to our website, you can see a whole list of things that we can do online or in person. But I'll show you the process of making a pennant for now. Now, I'm going to use our logo and our company name for an example today, but someone logs into Zoom, they talk to myself or another employee, and they send them a graphic, and we put it in the computer, and excuse me if I go off camera for a little bit. So we are going to get that graphic and we are going to print it out. Let's see, okay. We'll let that print out. And while we wait, I will show you exactly how the Morph mug works. Hot coffee, cold mug, clear graphic. And while they're on Zoom, they can watch us make the product. Here we have our logo and company name. Take that. And I'm just going to do a little trimming. And what you see here is everything that we would do on site in front of students. Let's take a pennant. We're going to place it on the heat press. We're going to place the design on the pennant. Protective cover there. And wait 45 seconds. So the student can log in. They can watch us make the product. And once we're done, we can either do one of two things. We can send the product directly to the client, to the student, or we can send all the products to the school, in which you guys can then distribute them to your students. And either way, that whatever way makes it easier for you is the way we'll do it. Okay, we are almost done with a heat pressed pennant. One hot pennant. And there we go, one heat pressed pennant. Again, we offer a wide variety of products. We also have card caddies, these little wallets that you can stick onto the back of cell phones. What is actually imprinted, this little piece, can be ripped off the wallet and used as a little wipe to wipe down your screens. And I'll show you that process right now with a quick design. Actually, take that, put that on the heat press, that on the thing, and press that. Again, for mugs, and we also offer dog tags, keychains, regular ceramic mugs. These are metal camper, enamel camper mugs. We have plastic mugs, pennants, puzzles, bag tags, you name it, we have it. Or if we don't have it, we can get it and make it for you. And newest to our collection, again, I'll bring these up again, are our reusable face masks. They are imprintable with any design you like. They're full bleed. These particular masks come with filter inserts that you place inside the mask, and after a while you can take it out and put a new one in. And again, we can make these in bulk, or we can do them per individual. Okay, so hopefully I line that up right. And we have a card caddy for the back of your cell phone, like that. And let's see, turn that off for a second. So again, we can do this in bulk. We can take large orders, we can do small orders, and we can send it, again, to you, the client, in bulk, or send it to the individual students. Other things we are offering make your own kits. Now these are items, let me just move some stuff around here, clear a space. These are items that we've always offered, but we've combined them into a kit. We're calling it the Quarantine Kit. These are arts and crafts kits, or do-it-yourself kits, that, again, we've offered on site to your students and clients. But now we can offer a box of stuff that the kids can do at their leisure in their dorm room, so to speak. Included in our initial kit here, you would receive a sand art kit with 2 sand art bottles and 4 colors of sand. Kids can fill and make their own little sand art design the way they wish. You would also receive a do-it-yourself dream catcher kit with everything you need to make your dream catcher, along with a pre-wrapped ring, which that's half the battle right there. Along with that, you would get some scratch art. You would get 2 scratch art designs. Now, the scratch art is usually, this just happens to be a circle, and this is a heart. But a scratch art is a card that's coated with a black surface. You take the stick and you scratch away, and you can design any design you like. So the card itself is printed with a multicolor ink and then covered in this black surface, and you scratch away the black and create whatever you like. You then apply ribbon to it, and you can hang it on a tree, hang it on a window, hang it wherever you like. What else do we have in our quarantine kit? We have a lava bead kit. In a lava bead kit, you would receive a selection of beads, a string for a bracelet, and a bottle of essential oil in which you put drops of the oil on the lava beads and make them smell nice. And that is our lava bead kit. And perfect for being socially distanced and quarantined and not being able to see people. In this kit, we are offering our message in a bottle kit. Our message in a bottle kit consists of a bottle, some sand, you place the sand in the bottle, along with some decorations, some shells, some stylized confetti, and a umbrella. Those are the decorations for the message in the bottle. And then in the bottle, you will place this piece of paper. You can write a note, write a letter, whatever you like. Roll it up, put it in the bottle, the cap on the bottle goes back in the box, and then you can send it to someone. You know, since we are all stuck on our own little island these days, throwing out a message in the bottle is not a horrible idea.
I think Tom, I think the beauty of message in the bottle is that we could take the addresses, and if I wanted to send one to you, we could do that. So if the students come back and say, hey, here's the friend that I want my message to go to, we could do that if they are not on campus and they are doing this virtually from home, learning at home.
Yes, that is true. We can take orders and send them directly to whoever you'd like to receive these. Lastly in our kit is our aromatherapy kit. Now, our aromatherapy kit will come with a selection of essential oils that they can then add to the carrier oil and then create an aromatherapy scent on their own. Each kit comes with, again, a selection of oils, carrier oil, and then a printout of the benefits of each and every scent, and the combinations thereof will help you achieve whatever feeling you're looking for with aromatherapy. This is our quarantine kit as of now. Again, this is customizable. You can switch things out. You can add things to this. If you go to our website and see something like sun catchers, which are little plastic things that you paint and stick to a window. We can add those to this, or replace something with something like that. Or if you would like to make your own mask kit, we can create we can put a Mardi Gras mask in here with all the additions you would have to glue to it. Next we have, which is rather popular now, is our Stuff-A-Bear. Now, many of you have ordered Stuff-A-Bear with us throughout the years, and we've normally done it one way. We've sent you all the animals, or all the animal skins, all the stuffing, birth certificates, hearts, whatnot, and customized t-shirt. And the kids do this on site at the event. They stuff the bear and then walk away with it. What we're offering now are individual Stuff-A-Bear kits that, again, we can send in bulk to you, and you can distribute them amongst kids on campus, or we can, especially those kids who are distance learning right now, we can send these directly to the student at their home or wherever they may be living right now. Each kit includes a pre-packaged, pre-separated package of stuffing, which is enough to overstuff an animal in most cases. You would get skin, and this just happens to be a cat right there, a birth certificate, a heart or star, and then a customized t-shirt. And this is what's included in the Stuff-A-Bear kit. Okay. So again, all these kits are customizable to your liking. Again, go to our website, look at what we offer. Most of what we offer is available to be shipped to you. And that is, I think that is about it for novelty giveaways, virtual novelty giveaways.
That's awesome, Tom. We're going to switch back to the Zoom call and get Jim in here. If you can join us in the Zoom room, we'll get Jim back involved here and see if he has any questions. And if not, we'll discuss the virtual photo programs and novelties a little bit further. And we'll also let Jim talk about psychics shortly.
Yeah, pardon me, happy to do that, Dave. I think, with regard to a lot of these shippables and customizable things, one of the things that Dave said to me and pretty much everybody in our staff here is that to the best of our ability, we're going to try to work with all of you out there to do whatever it is that you see as needs on your campuses. So, for one thing, and this has nothing to do necessarily with the photo novelty programs, but I wanted to highlight to everybody that if you come up with a virtual program and you're lacking the resources for which to host that or organize it or deal with the Zoom aspects of it, we can host your Zoom event. So that's one of the things. When it comes to anything having to do with shippable novelty, in the old days, pre-March, this was pretty simple. If you wanted a shippable novelty, it was shipped in bulk to the school and you self-facilitated. In many cases, that can still happen. However, in the world of isolation and hybrid approach, and we'll get into some of this when we talk about the psychics, but when you have limitations to on-campus presence, if that means we're shipping that in bulk for the people to self-facilitate for those folks on campus, and we're shipping individual products in kit form to individual student addresses, it's a different price. So pretty much every single event is almost like a custom event based on what it is that you all need. So as the ideas go around after the showcase, feel free to let us know, David, Kim, me, any of our sales staff, and we'll be happy to try to put together customizable quotes based on your needs. And along those lines, for those of you that have received our COVID response plan, which Dave's going to touch base with you on a little bit later, we have rated the things by risk. That's our best guess and our best assessment here. Until things start to roll out on campus, we're not going to know 100% what we need to be dealing with here. But as that happens, there are many, many other events that aren't in that COVID response plan. So if you know that you brought a specific piece to campus in the past and you really had a good response from that, just let us know. Don't assume that we will say no. Now there are certain things, anything with high touch, that kind of thing, that we would probably recommend against. But when it comes to shippable novelty, photo novelty, not a problem. We're going to try to do anything that you need us to do to the best of our ability.
That's great, Jim. Why don't we get right into how we're running virtual psychic fairs? I know we're a little ahead of schedule, but let's see what we can do with talk about the virtual psychic fairs and how they're running. I'll let you run with that for a little bit.
I mean, I have no problem doing that, Dave. I just want to make sure for the people who may be logging on and logging off based on the schedule that they've seen, I don't want to jump too far ahead. I mean, we can certainly talk about a few more other things that have been going on here.
Well, if you like, I can discuss a few things with the shippables and the photo novelties without being out and wearing it.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, Tom, one of the things that you brought to Dave and my attention a while ago, and I think is worthy of mentioning here, is the idea of order fulfillment, particularly on the slower moving live sublimation programs. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. For most of our novelty photo events, people don't necessarily need to be live talking to you or us. We can receive text and we can receive photos from clients and apply them to mugs or pennants and whatnot. And what I propose is we offer online ordering windows. The client orders, for example, 100 mugs, and then we leave that open for I mean,
Yes, and we all just got a little distracted because of the phone call that we didn't know was going to happen, and then we'll get back to Mr. Hyman in a little bit here.
I will say, go ahead, Tom, sorry.
Jim brought up a good point. With the street sign scenario, you know, we need 300 street signs in 2 hours or 4 hours or whatever the time frame is. And that is one of the advantages of virtual right now, is that we are not really bound by a specific hour-long time frame. That we can fulfill orders. We have more time to fulfill larger orders now, which is a good thing in a way. So just wanted to
Yeah,
bring that.
I mean, on a campus, you're gonna have to figure out the where that fits in. You know, we're gonna probably touch on some of these things, but you know, a lot of schools have been telling me, you know, on opening, we're you know, we have a plan for orientation, getting people masks, that sort of thing. But as we all know, masks are going to wear out, they're going to get lost, they're going to get, you know, whatever. And as we begin to put our stamp of individuality on this mask thing, then, you know, that's an option. I mean, you can get a more customizable mask and set up an order fulfillment on something like that to be able to have a steady supply of custom.
By talking to the student.
Hey, hi, I'm back. Sorry about that. And you two successfully filled the gap. I'm very proud of you two for ad-libbing there for the last 10 minutes. Which brings us right on time for our virtual psychic explanation. It is hard, Jim's going to explain how the psychic program works, but it is hard to virtually do this live and show you what was going to happen because we put our, as Jim will explain shortly, we put our psychics into private breakout rooms so each reading is private. But before I take all of Jim's thunder here, I'll hand it over to Jim. We'll talk about virtual psychics, and then we'll come back to me and Tom and talk about scavenger hunt and how we're running that. So the floor is yours, Jim.
In the meantime, I have to step away for a moment, so I will be back.
Thanks, Tom. See you in a bit. All right, everybody. In terms of the psychic fairs, I want to start by echoing what Dave just said. When you get into a psychic fair, there are a number of obstacles. Predominantly, being privacy is very, very important. So if you've done a psychic fair with us live, you know that you have traditionally gathered your participants in a centralized location, and often corners of the room a little bit more private. The readers have been set up, and I think there are very few things that I have said during the transition to virtual that I can honestly say offer some things that are better, but the psychic fair is one of those. It does not lose a lot of its involvement, its interactivity, the socialization aspects of it. And the way that we would do that is, let's say you would book a psychic fair with, let's arguably just say 4 readers for 4 hours. The readers are priced by the hour, and then you have the opportunity to, with our Zoom host, where students can log on, or participants, I should say, can log on at any point that they would like. So they can be in the general room with whoever our host is on the evening, and they can interact with each other over Zoom. So if they're
really need to see
all on campus,
we can eliminate this problem.
fine. If they're in their individual rooms, fine. If they're remote learning, fine. So I want to first start by talking a little bit about the disciplines. There are a lot of schools that know about this and have done these events, so they will do something like they'll come to us with a request. We want 2 tarot card readers, we want a room reader, and we want a palmist. As we grow and learn here, what we're finding is that some of these disciplines translate very nicely, and some of them are a little bit more difficult. In the springtime, when we were doing a fair bit of these on essentially a pivot, what we were doing is a lot of tarot, runes, and numerology, but we offer disciplines, like I said before, palm, astrology, and we have recently, for a specific client, actually 2 now, managed to also extend that into handwriting analysis. So while I wouldn't necessarily say that handwriting analysis is psychic in any way, what it does offer schools who have limitations on doing a quote-unquote psychic fair, that gives you the opportunity to be able to do something similar without having it violate any policies, particularly if you're at a religiously based institution. In terms of those disciplines, what I tell folks all the time is that we have a stable of readers that are not just one thing. So while my primary discipline, I forgot to mention that, And it's kind of like having the outline for a person's life, using the name as it appears in their birth certificate and their birth date. So if that student wanted a numerology reading, I would basically share a screen, and in that screen share, we would put all that information in together, and I would show them what I'm looking at and why I'm understanding or knowing things that I shouldn't really know. That's kind of how that works. Tarot is a much quicker thing. You can do a quicker tarot reading or rune reading. Those are very good for both long-term life choices, but also on immediate, is Mr. or Mrs. right, Mr. or Mrs. right? And we focus a lot on, just because of the demographic of colleges, we focus a lot on relationship issues, career, majors, deciding where folks are going to go with their lives, making some of those decisions. And what I tell everybody is that it isn't necessarily to have some boom effect in your life. It's more or less a validation of what you already know to be true. And I think having that validation in many instances is very, very important for students who may be feeling stress, feeling anxiety, feeling the cost of student loans and everything else, to know that they're on the right path. It is a very popular event. In terms of the actual layout or structure of it, as Dave mentioned early on, we touched on, what happens is you can do this in two ways. We have schools that have done it both ways. The first way that was happening a lot in the springtime was for on-time appointment-based readings. So what Dave would do is he would send out to the organizer of the event sort of a layout, which we have appointment scheduled. So let's go back to the 4 readers for 4 hours kind of thing, and it's running 7 to 11 p.m. From 7 to 7:07 is 1 reading times 4 slots. Now, if you specifically choose a discipline, let's say it's 2 tarot, a rune reader, and a numerologist, well, then that's what that reader will focus on. But we would recommend that you just put reader 1, reader 2, reader 3, reader 4, and then allow students to sign up. If you think you're going to have a heavy duty response from that, then limit the signups per student to 1 reading over the 4 hours. If you want to just leave it as a first come, first served, you can certainly do that. And then students can sign up for each of the 4 readers if they would like. That's a decision that you would all make on your campuses with your team of programmers. The other option is you allow everybody to assemble in the common room in the Zoom meeting area. And again, our platform as it currently stands can handle up to 500 folks at one time. It's a lot for the host to handle, and we're probably not going to get 500 readings done. Again, assume about 7 minutes a reading when you're planning on this. If you need it to go faster, you definitely would want to let us know that in advance. We would have to limit those disciplines to the faster moving styles or types of events. But you can do it just essentially as a login line, where everybody that logs in, we would just go in order of the login, and we would just fill out a waiting list. And then as soon as a reader becomes available, the Zoom host would move that next person in line to the first available reader into their breakout room. And basically that's how we go. So in terms of practicality, what that means is if I'm a reader and Dave is our host, he's managing the waiting room. Well, we can also get into waiting rooms, but I don't want to muddy the waters right now. Let's just say it's just a main area with Dave as the host. He'll be there. He'll welcome everybody in, and as students come in and they haven't seen each other, whatever, they can interact. They can talk amongst themselves, and we I, as a numerologist, I'm off in my breakout room from 7 to 11. But what Dave will do is he'll say, Jim, your 707 is here. And if I happen to wrap up a little bit early with that the previous person, if it's by appointment, then we pick up another couple of people in there. If it's by a waiting line, then you move more students through than you will on an appointment-based kind of a thing. Especially because there will be people that miss logins, and then then you have some dead time. But if you do it with live Google Docs, it also helps because if there's somebody that does cancel out and lets everybody know via the live doc, then another person who didn't get an opportunity can just sign on and off we go. And the last thing that I wanted to cover here is the options of hybrid. When we're dealing with a hybrid option, and we have a couple of schools currently looking at this, I think it's safe to say that on many of the campuses here, students were given the opportunity to either come to campus for on-campus learning as best that it can be done, and other students have been given the opportunity to choose to stay virtual. If that happens and you're faced with this engagement of we want to balance out our activities budget, and we want to be able to allow students to participate not just on campus but also remotely, we can definitely do a hybrid type of a piece where you have 2 readers live and you have 2 readers on virtual. So that's an option too. Again, it goes back to what I said before we got into the psychic piece, that if you have an idea, if you have a need, don't assume that this is a cookie cutter type of a thing where we're going to say, no, that won't work. Consult with us, let us know. We'll do our best to accommodate every single request. I still have about 5 more minutes here, Dave, until we get to the scavenger hunts and bingo. Is there anything I missed? You've hosted enough of these Zoom meetings or Zoom psychic fairs. Things that I missed.
You covered everything perfectly. Just to reiterate, we're doing the readings every 7 minutes. So if it were to start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd go 1 o'clock, 1:07, 1:14, 1:21, and so on. And then give ourselves at the end there a 3 to 5 minute break for the psychics to catch up. And then we start all over again the next hour. But you covered it, and you also covered the handwriting analysis. We can do a little preview for the 5 minutes, and I also could put up a teaser video of Karen Sullivan. That, if we would like to do that, it's like a little commercial. Let's see what we can do here. It's a little teaser, as they say in the television industry, I believe.
I am coming to appreciate live TV, folks, because this is a lot harder than it looks.
So this is our speaker at 2:30.
Because we start to hear different ideas and we get overwhelmed. I am not here to tell you everything you're doing wrong. I am here to say, think of a few new things that towards the direction of where you want to be right. And at Sesame Street Live, we had at the time 3 tours that were traveling. Inevitably, one was on the West Coast, and so I had to stay at work because I had to work more. And I kid you not, I think that I became a workaholic because I didn't want to work out. And I really think that's the case. And so, but I did see for me that the recipe for my success was just to keep working and working and working. And what I realized is that I wasn't taking very good care of myself, but at the time I didn't know that. There's all sorts of modalities out there. that help us be well, that help us heal, whether that's cancer, whether that's depression, whether that's any type of diabetes, whether it's, throw out there whatever our hardship may be. It doesn't always solve the problem. Sometimes it could, but it oftentimes makes it better.
And I thought I was being really innovative by doing it. Then I found out that a lot of folks like you have already been thinking about that. So please talk to everybody very honestly. What about sodas and cocktails and all those things?
Oh, my substitute is infused water. I know it's not the same, but you start to like it and you start to crave it. And there are so many great fruits, especially the citruses that you can use, that make it refreshing and that actually will fill you up.
Choose infused water over the Coca-Cola. However, if you need to meet halfway, try a kombucha. It's fermented tea, it's bubbly, and it has a strong taste to it, so it kind of meets you halfway.
A lot of people claim that they're too busy to be active.
What I'm all about is taking small steps towards better health. So for people that are out there that want to try something new, it's a great way to start any one of these apps. It gives you a sense of positivity and good feeling, and so it takes you to a little better place.
That's a little teaser from Karen Sullivan, who happens to be in our waiting room, waiting to come in, and I will let her in shortly. Is Tom back? He's getting his video ready.
Hello, I am back.
Tom, can you, we've got Karen in the waiting room, and I'm going to talk to her via the chat shortly. But if you can go over who we partnered with on our scavenger hunt and how we're running, in my opinion, one of our best virtual programs.
Okay.
And then I'll join you shortly.
Okay. Well, here, just to talk for a few minutes about our virtual scavenger hunt. We run our scavenger hunt in partnership with an app called Goose Chase. And what once you have a group of people to participate, they log into Zoom with us, and we'll separate them into teams or breakout rooms. Their breakout room is their team. So while they're on Zoom, they're going to log into Goose Chase on their phone or tablet. That's where the game sort of happens. The breakout room is just so that they can stay as a team. In Goose Chase, you are given a list of tasks in which you have to either take a picture of something or take a video of something. Now, the way we're working it here is, say the task is for the group to spell out YMCA with each member of their team. Well, each person in their window will spell out or make the shape of a letter, and then someone will take a picture of that screen where you can see the entire group making the word YMCA. Now that picture is then uploaded to Goose Chase, and that team is awarded however many points that task is allotting them. And it might be 100 points, 200 points, 1,000 points. Now, if every team completes every task, the catch is that everyone's going to have the same amount of points. The thing about the way we run this is that we, the hosts, we are allowed to give out bonus points or take away points. We rarely take away points. But if you have a picture that makes me laugh or Dave laugh, or makes us think about it for a moment or two, then we might award the team an extra 150 points or 200 points or something like that. And that's really how a team will win. Again, this is a interactive virtual game show where not everyone is in one spot. We hope one day that we will be able to facilitate this on campuses. We think it's a great orientation program in which groups of incoming freshmen can, so the tasks can be customizable. So they might have to go find specific buildings on campus, have their picture taken in front of them, or a specific restaurant on the corner they have to go and say get a slice of pizza at Sal's Pizza Joint or something like that.
Yeah, one of the beauties of this, Tom, is that we could fully customize the tasks or the missions. So if this is for an orientation program, we can have your students go to each and every building, go down to the athletic fields, and learn all about the campus as an orientation type instance. In the instance we're in right now with COVID and Corona, a lot of the schools that we've done so far has been from home. So the students have been at home, and we've had to come up with questions. For example, go get all your PPE devices and take a picture on the Zoom screen. Or the one that Tom always uses as the example to start the game off is go find a light bulb and make yourself a light, or sing the Friends theme song. There's a whole bunch of stock missions or tasks, but then we'll sit and work with each student activities director or their students and come up with customized tasks that fit that particular college or university.
So Dave, just to clarify there, just so that everybody at home understands, or wherever you're watching from, that customizable piece is limited somewhat in a virtual environment, but we are still customizing via an advanced Zoom meeting that we do. One of our clients had done a series of 6 virtual orientations. So what we did was we met with a couple of the student leaders, Dave, more so Dave than me, but I was on the Zoom meeting. And those 2 gentlemen basically came up with great ideas. How can we customize this knowing that the students are going to be at home, but still give those particular qualities and customization touches to specific buildings, mascots, things that are understood by every upper class person on each campus, so that the freshmen still got some level of an understanding of what's happening specific to that particular institution. So it still can be customizable.
I think one of the beauties of the scavenger hunt is, let's say the scavenger hunt lasts an hour and I'm hosting it and Tom is busy giving out bonus points for this and that and making himself laugh. I'm constantly communicating with each team via Zoom and Goose Chase, giving them updates on the leaderboard, who's winning, how many points behind you are. But at the end, we get to bring everyone back into the main Zoom room and show the wrap-up video. And the wrap-up video is everyone's task or mission. So we'll go through all the funny ones, the funny videos, and everyone will get to see what the other teams did. Like if we're on campus, we would bring a video screen and just show it right live in that student center or wherever we're hosting it from. But in this world, the virtual world, we're going to do it right on the Zoom screen and go through each one. And then at the very end, we'll give a chance for each team to say, hey, I want to see the green team's video of whatever. And we'll scroll down to that and show that. And while that's all happening, Tom is still giving out bonus points. And the last thing we do is we'll bring up the leaderboard and say the green team has X amount of points. They came in 5th. The red team came in 4th, and so on all the way up to first place. We can we can have as many as up to 500 people per scavenger hunt virtually on campus. We could do an unlimited amount of people and putting them into the teams. But virtually, it's a 500 max at this point.
One quick thing here, Dave, just so that everybody understands. we're trying to do a showcase here in virtual, and it's very difficult to understand it just from an explanation. This would also go for the psychics that we just covered in this manner, but to get everybody familiar with it, we have been doing demos. If you, as your school delegation, say, this sounds like a good idea, but I want to learn more, you can get in contact with us, and once we get enough people together to at least do a live a virtual demo, we can do that for you, where you can actually do a 15-minute game and experience that game.
Correct.
Just get in contact with us if you'd like to see the actual demo.
So what we're going to do, we'll talk about bingo in a little bit towards the end, but we've got Karen in our waiting room in Zoom, and we're going to let her in. And Tom, you can go back out into the warehouse and get ready for, I believe, street signs. But let me let Karen in. There's Karen.
Hi.
How are you?
Karen.
How are you?
Karen, I didn't give you.
And she was lucky enough she got to. But she talks a lot about infertility, and then she actually adopted her second child. So she shows us, shares her story, but also shares some tips and resources along the way. Last week's episode was a woman who was a 9/11 widow, and clearly she, along with the rest of the world, went through a really tough time, and she shares a bit about her story, which started with she had a baby 6 days later, and then how she was able to put one foot in front of the other, and that was I cried the whole time through that episode for so many reasons, but it's been a joy for me to be able to connect with people and share their stories. People can learn from anything, right?
Absolutely. The story of how we came to be doing this 5 months or 6 months later was I was at I believe it was MPI and the Mohegan Sun, and you were giving your doing your speech on it, and I said, this is wonderful. This would be perfect for college students. And I told Jim, who you have, I don't believe you've met. Jim is my partner up there in the Zoom
Jim.
screen.
I'll shake your hand.
There we go.
But we'll get into it. We'll let you take the floor here and see what ideas you have for college students and what we can share with them, and both virtually and hopefully down the road bring you on campus to those schools.
Well, thank you. That's great. I'm a student at heart. I think we all can go back and remember what it was like for us when we were at a young age. I think as somebody who's always been very passionate about what I'm involved with, I was a student of the business when I was in the corporate world. Now, being a 2-time cancer survivor living and thriving with stage 4 disease, I became a student of that business because I'm always trying to learn more to help, I guess, better myself as well as better those around me. And so the times that I have gone out and presented to a college audience has been great because it's finding that connection with students. Now, the presentation that I could, share with you guys now, and if you want, I have a presentation, I can whip up some slides and walk you through that. It really does showcase where I start out and I tell my story. And, you heard it at the MPI presentation where, depending on my audience with college students, I know when I was in college, unless you've been directly hit, and this may be true in life, unless you've been directly hit with whatever hardship it is, it may not be as relatable. And so when I speak with college students, I will share, I am a 2-time cancer survivor. You look at me, I look healthy, I'm happy. And why is that? It's because I've learned to take care of myself. So you as college students know maybe you're going through some deep hardships, and clearly anybody in college right now is going through a different experience than any one of us have because of the pandemic. They still have the stresses of, figuring out their class workload. They still have the stressors perhaps of finding a job. In life, we all have those stressors. And so a lot of times I will share with a college audience a bit about my post-college life, where I spent 20 years in corporate America, where I worked for sports teams and big entertainment companies like the Walt Disney Company and ESPN. A lot of times I get a lot of students that, question and answers, they want to know about that. Sometimes the direction will go where we'll talk about networking. What does that mean? And I love to kind of joke around and say, listen, my parents are mathematicians. When it comes to networking, I thought I wouldn't know how to network because I wasn't born into it. But we'll do a few activities where we will network with each other or come up with, I call it a game where we're going to network across like the span of our, not livelihood so much, but the world and community that we live in. And so doing a networking game virtually could be something that we would do, but would be different than an in-person. A lot of times then I will go in and we'll just talk about what's going on in terms of the world of wellness. A lot of college students, they know, and so that's a time where when you do it virtually, you can have people pop up and ask questions, and then I can answer those questions. I think we had talked in the past about a lot of students are on social media. And so what I did when I was working with a group at UConn was we actually started the relationship, let's call it, or the promotion of the event through social media, where I would do a video and I would talk about the topic. For them, it was work-life balance and how I have a number of tools and resources for them. And then we started the conversation there. I would give my 2 cents in a 5-minute video. They then asked me questions that helped. I answered their questions, not in real time as much, but within the coming few days. And then that helped when I came to present. I was able to more personalize the presentation that I gave to them. And it's fun for them because it was a little more interactive. They felt like they knew me beforehand because I was talking in video to them. When it comes down to it, though, there are a few topics that Karen Sullivan truly believes in. That is, one, wellness, because when we take care of ourselves, when we take small steps to take care of ourselves, we are going to do better with whatever our goals might be. And that comes with the resilience factor. There can be a stem off of that. And it's also about finding a way to embrace joy. And that then, and both of these deal with stress reduction. And that is, I think, right now, when we're talking about kids going back to school, that is something that is universal. It's really universal in the world, but I believe that there are small steps that we can take towards improving our health. And what does that look like for us? You know, it depends on your goal. My small steps is actually a formula, you know it, because it's about, and then I have really exercises that we can do around that. Small steps is an acronym for S, setting goals. M, being mindful of your schedule. Because when you take small steps, it's not about changing your entire lifestyle. Like, hey, when I got stage 4 cancer, I did that, I had that fire. But a lot of times, like, people are set in their ways, and students have a schedule. They have things they need to do, and they may not be able to change their lifestyle tremendously. So when you are mindful of your schedule, you can fit in some sort of new wellness modality. And that's when you add to your life. And then the other 2 L's are let something go. After you've added a nice new habit into your life, you can let a bad one go. And then the second L is let someone know. Now, there are ways in different presentations where I'll take that formula and we'll do the small steps activity where together we're doing it. And sometimes what that means in a webinar format is I talk to you guys, we put it on pause, and then you're writing down, and you know, they may be writing it down, and then we bring it back a minute or 2 later where they are then actually writing it on the sidelines where you comment. I then bring it up. Sometimes I've actually offered, like, the first 2 people to say something are going to win. You know, they may or may not want. This is my Happiness Through Hardship. I'm an author. The book is actually my baby, and then the podcast was a spinoff of that. But as a wellness ambassador, I work with all sorts of brands. It may be a fun way to offer up some prizes, because we know that, you know, most people like freebies, but, you know, students definitely do as well. And with any audience, I like to end with what I call the Grateful Game. Now, if you listen to the podcast, you know that all of my episodes end with the Grateful Game. And what it really is it started years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I was at a speaking engagement and I was working with someone, and she handed me her gratitude journal. And she said, this is something that I love to give people that I work with. And this is a few years ago. So now you hear wellness practitioners, you hear doctors talking about, yes, you want to exercise, you want to eat well, you want to find mindfulness practices, but there are also some almost like soft skills, having a gratitude practice, getting out in nature, that you're starting to see doctors and any medical practitioner talk about how that's a benefit for health. And so I believe in having a gratitude practice. It's so easy. So we would play at the close the Grateful Game. So I don't know about you guys. Would you guys play the Grateful Game with me right now?
I will.
Or is that pushing it a little bit too much?
I play the Grateful Game every day because you taught me. But before we get,
I did. I love it.
But before
I love it. That is, and what I will tell you, Jim, how it started was I got this book, I brought it home, and my son at the time was, I think he was 7, 8, and I started having him I wrote in the book, and we talk about it at bedtime. And then, you know, like, the book is great, but it's bedtime. I want him to go to sleep. I don't want the light on. So we then kind of transferred a year or so later when he was 8, 9 years old, where we'd lie in bed. He's, you know, young, and he's like, okay, Mom, I'm going to beat you. And so he timed me, how many things could I mention that I was grateful for and why? And then he would do the same thing. And so it would we'd throw it out there, like, I'll do it now. I'm going to give myself 30 seconds. What am I grateful for and why? I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to go to the beach today, because we are so lucky in Connecticut to live in a beach area, as I do. And why? Because it brings me calm. And even though it was only 10 minutes long because it started to storm, which was fine because I had work to do, but it was an opportunity that I got to spend with my son, 2 of our friends, social distanced, and it brought me tremendous joy. 10 minutes, number 1. Number 2, I am grateful for my kombucha. I love kombucha. I was a super big pop drinker. Yes, I grew up in the Midwest. I still love to call it pop soda, but kombucha to me is a healthy alternative for all you soda drinkers out there. You could try that, or you could try right here. I've got a seltzer where I put a little bit of juice in it, or even kombucha in it, so that I've got a healthy alternative that keeps me hydrated through the day. So there I go. I have 2 things I mentioned that I'm grateful for. Do one of you guys want to play?
I'll play. I am grateful for a healthy, happy family, a job that I can go to every day. And here's the second one is, I am grateful for the coronavirus for this reason. I have got to spend quality time with both kids and my wife. One is 20, leaving for college potentially in a week and a half, and the other one is 13. And we have bonded much better, acted more like a family in the last 4 months or however long it's lasted. And that's what I'm grateful for. It's odd to be grateful for the coronavirus, but that is a positive for it. I do want to say, I was hoping that you would say one of the L's stands for lemons, because when you did the speech at Mohegan Sun,
Warm water and lemon.
Warm water and lemon, first thing every morning, and I've been doing it since that day. It's awesome. And
I will tell you, as I have gotten a lot of requests, frankly, to talk about stress reduction, which is why, I think that going back to school, that's probably huge. And whether we add some videos and apps about books, whatever it is, as your tools, but food's my first love, right? I love having Pretty Wellness. I created this company all to be about taking small steps, because most people don't have the time or the energy to overhaul their life. But every morning, warm water and lemon is one of my favorite healthy lifestyle tips, because not only is it soothing, the warm water, the vitamin C is great for you, but your body has been sleeping. You wake up, if it's the first thing you do, it helps detox your system. The actual acidity in the lemon, or the acid in the lemon, alkalizes your body, and so it's like a mini detox. So thank you. I love that you took that away, because to me, it's all about, in all these presentations, connecting with people and letting them find one thing that will help make them, feel better about their health and lead them in the right direction.
Oh, it's awesome. Jim, are you going to play the Grateful Game with us?
I'll play the Grateful
All
Game.
right, great.
All right.
I obviously, like a lot of people, I'm grateful for my family, and Dave, you already went down that road, and the quality time that I got to spend. I always used to say here at Party People, I won't see a spring until I retire, but coronavirus enabled me to actually engage and have a normal work environment here, 40 hours a week instead of many more during the springtime. So that was nice. I will say 2 quick other ones. Number 1, I'm grateful for, as much as that was wonderful, it was also very, very difficult not having connections with my clients. As the people who are watching know, I take the greatest joy in dealing with students and staff and faculty, and having everybody coming back has been, overwhelmingly, wonderful, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. And lastly, and this is something that, since we're meeting for the first time, Karen, I'm grateful to have met you, because I think David and I have been talking about this for many, many moons now. We're trying to launch a brand of purposeful programming.
Yeah.
We don't want to get away from our fun for fun's sake roots, and I think there's a lot of things that are helpful there. But there's so many more questions when we're taught fear and division pretty much every single day in the mainstream media, and just get on the hamster wheel and go,
Yeah.
to be able to just relax and be grateful for things, but also to look at things more purposefully, because no one can say that better than you as a 2-time cancer survivor.
Well, and that's where I often, you hear people say, oh, cancer was a gift. Like, I don't look at it that way, because I wouldn't want to give this as a gift to somebody. It's, no matter what hardship you go through, I think it can be horrible. But I've seen a silver lining, and I loved my corporate job. I did. But now I've found something that I feel like is very meaningful. I get, my Happiness Through Hardship, the book, is handed out at a few different cancer centers. When somebody's diagnosed, it's written for cancer survivors as well as their caregivers. I have tips for both. And the second half of it's a journal and note taking. And I'll tell you, I never thought I was going to be an author, but it is the best feeling when you have somebody, especially somebody you don't even know, that reaches out maybe through social media and says, thank you. I took this, or I took that, or I took that out of it. And it's helped me. And so, like you say, whatever it might be, coronavirus, cancer, any type of hardship, when you can come through it, walk through it, and find a more meaningful purpose, that, for me, has been a beautiful thing.
I have two quick questions for you,
Yes.
Karen, for our audience.
Yes.
Number one, if there are people out there that sit back and after this showcase start to talk to their groups, and they come up with an idea that they'd like you to address,
Yes.
would you be open to kind of molding your event for their needs if you have the expertise?
That's what I do.
Okay.
So I believe in customizing presentations. I will say no if it's a topic that I don't feel, is best for me to handle, of course. But if it's in line with resiliency, positivity, wellness, cancer, work-life balance, leadership, those are the topics that are near and dear to me, and I have call it expertise in.
Great. The last quick question, and we're running up against the time schedule here, but in terms of your personal experience, and if this gives anything away, then we can bypass the question. But how do you look at? We hear a lot about these days the mind, body, spirit connection.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that at all?
Well, that could be a very long-winded conversation. I will say I completely believe in it for me, and truly for most people, but you have to want it, right? And I think that's true with most changes. You have to be willing, maybe not want it, actually, you have to be willing to be open to it. And I will say that I am somebody who was a workaholic, who really believed in kind of one way. And the second cancer diagnosis, not even the first one, really opened up my eyes to try new things and be open. And there are many wellness modalities or lifestyle, modalities is the word I often use, that don't work for everyone and maybe don't work for me. But I think being open to it puts you in a different mindset to make something work and then thus improve your life.
Sounds great. You and I will have to connect offline one of these days.
That would be great.
Well, Karen, thank you for joining us. I will follow up with you on Monday as to give you some feedback, and we will talk soon.
All right, that's great. You guys
Nice
have a great rest of your day, and bye everybody who's watching.
See you later, Karen. All right, people, and I know Jim is now off. You can sort of hear me, but he is off the Zoom call, and we're going to go back out to our warehouse for our virtual street signs and how we run them. So, Tom, again, the floor is yours.
Well, hello and welcome back to the warehouse. I'm going to go over virtual street signs. Now, our sign shop has been a staple on campus in many locations for quite a number of years. And the way we've always run this has been that kids or students wait in line, and they come up to us, they pick a sign out of a selection of signs, they write down, or we write down what they would like on the sign, and then we actually give them a time frame to come back to us when the sign is ready. This is pretty much going to work the same way, but students can, students can log into Zoom, and when it's their turn, they can engage us. They can pick out a sign from a selection of signs. I only have a few out here, but you know, long signs, or long wide signs, large door signs, yield, biohazard, keep out, apropos for this day and age, green street signs, which may be invisible in front of the green screen. But students will log in or chat with us via Zoom. They will pick out a sign, and we have a digital sheet that they can look at and pick their sign from that sheet. We'll grab their sign. I'm going to use the green road sign today. We're going to take whatever they want on their sign. It's usually a name or a couple of words. We're going to type it into the special program, which I'm doing now. And I'm going to type in my son's name. He gets a bonus birthday present today. And once that's ready, we're going to cut. Now the cool thing about this is that the students can hang out in the Zoom room for the few minutes it takes to cut out the sign. They can watch us assemble it. They could always watch us assemble it on site, but on site we would like to take an order, like a whole list of orders, and then start making them. It made the time more efficient. So we're waiting for this to cut out, and hopefully everything's working with it and it's cutting out correctly. And today you actually might be able to see what's happening on the table from above. Let me get my supplies ready. That, this, and wait. Looks like we're ready. Just going to move my computer here out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to clean up what was cut out. The good thing about doing this virtually is that if we do happen to screw up, which happens from time to time, something might not cut out right, or we got the size wrong when we cut it out, we are not bound by the length of the event per se. Okay, there is my son's name, Grayson. Special tape. Lay it down there. Pull that name up. Hopefully that's pretty straight. And when all is said and done, in a matter of minutes, we have a street sign.
It's awesome, Tom.
Okay, now once the signs are made, we can do one of two things, like the photo novelties or the custom novelties. We can send these directly to the student or the person who's logging in. Or we can send these in bulk to, say, your student activities office, who then can distribute them to your students. And that is virtual street signs. Again, we have a multitude of signs to choose from, a rolling roster, so to speak, and that sort of changes from day to day as we do more and more signs. But that is it.
That is perfect, Tom. Great job out there in the warehouse. And we're going to come back to our Zoom call. But you know what we're going to do before we admit Mr. Callahan in here, our next person? You want to tease it again, Jim?
Sure, Dave, let's tease it.
Let's tease it. Let's see what we got here from Mr. Callahan.
Hi, my name's Peter Callahan. I'm a facilitator and coach, as well as the Leadership and Engagement Director of Copper Beach Institute. We're a mindfulness retreat center in West Hartford. I'm grateful for this opportunity to partner with Party People and potentially come offer your school, organization, your faculty, your student body some of these tools and practices that I personally have found extremely valuable, and research and science are lending more and more credibility to every day. Right now we're in really unprecedented times, and there's a lot of uncertainty that we're all working with and trying to understand and try and find our new normal and work through life. And we're really excited for the opportunity to offer some of these practices at a time now when they're even more valuable. So there's a ton of research around the power of mindfulness, and I'd love to share that in these sessions, how the neuro...
Should be with us here shortly.
We're a little ahead of schedule, Dave, so Peter's not on the clock necessarily. It's really, I mean, as you know, you keep me filled in on all these events that you've been working on, but meeting Karen today and the opportunity to meet Peter as well are going to be some fantastic things to do.
Hello, Peter. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys? Sorry if I was sitting for a minute. I was expecting to hear you when you chimed in. I didn't, so apologize.
No problem at all. We just teased you with a little video that we made a couple months back.
Oh, beautiful.
So, how you doing?
I understand you're a new dad, Peter.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, doing well. She's, well, my wife is letting me sleep, but even Claire, our daughter, is letting her sleep more than we might have expected, so.
I was going to say, my kids are young, and I got luggage under my eyes, and you're looking like you just hopped out of bed.
I do teach self-care, so I'd be really inauthentic if I didn't at least do my best to maintain, you know?
Absolutely.
How are you guys doing? How's the day been so far?
We're having fun and learning as we go. How's that?
That's the attitude I'm talking about, Dave. Nice job.
That's
exactly.
right. This whole live being a TV producer is a new concept, but it's fun. It's fun. I like it.
And a host.
You know,
and host.
I always said that my dream job would be to make the highlight video at the end of the NCAA basketball tournament and put it to music, like those people do at the very end, and put, I forget the name of the song, some great moment, or put, I forget the song.
I think that's right.
It's not some great moment. Someone help me out here. Someone chime in. Someone do it on the chat or something.
Shining moments. A shining moment.
Shining Moment by Luther Vandross. I wanted to do that. That would have been my dream job. So I'm sort of there right now with my dream job of producing this. Maybe not as well as those people on CBS do, but who knows?
But hopefully our content is a little bit more beneficial than just, not that there's anything wrong with watching the NCAA tournament. It's wonderful, but you know, we're adding a whole new level of value here. So
Well, that is a perfect transition. What are your ideas on helping college students, both virtually and going into, hopefully down the road, being right on campus with us, and we getting you into some colleges here like I said, virtually and live.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind, David, is that there's so many things that I know now that I wish I knew when I was in college. You know, and I remember people telling me to make the most of the time, or, you know, it's the best 4 years of your life. First, I want to let everyone know that doesn't have to be true. It may be, but I hope that we don't peak too early, as I often say, right? So let's take our time as to what those best years may be. But so if it's helpful, I thought I might start just with a quote from Thomas Jefferson. So what Jefferson once said was that if you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. So I'm just really curious to start to ask this question to more students, faculty members, whoever it may be, is what is it that you're longing for, that you want? Maybe it's less anxiety, maybe it's certainty about the future. That might be hard to achieve. Right? But what is it that you're looking for? For me, one of the awarenesses that I gained through college was I didn't treat people very well. So the way I kind of say that now is that, you know, my name is Peter, and I'm a recovering jerk, which is just completely true. I just was very arrogant. I think it was based on a lot of insecurity from myself, but just didn't treat people very well, was really judgmental in school. I was in a fraternity at the University of Rhode Island and thought that, you know, I was better than others. And it's been an interesting journey of learning how horribly wrong I was. And so what I love to do now is, and I guess one of the main lessons through that journey and really being able to take the responsibility that, wow, I don't think I'm treating people very well, is that the struggles and the challenges that I've been through, I'm a child of divorce, you know, changing homes, step parents, all these kind of things. I've also had a lot of successes and joys, but the pain and the struggles that I've been through have actually really helped me clarify what I want. Sometimes I refer to them as gifts. Like every time I'm challenged, I'm stressed, I'm frustrated with something, I try and find the opportunity and see what the gift is. And it's really helped me learn how important it is to slow down and to get to know myself, connect with others, really be with others. And what this has ultimately helped me do is when I get to decision points, right, all these inflection points that at this point in life, throughout life they come up, but it, you know, especially when we're in college, either getting into college or getting ready to graduate, or in the middle deciding if we're going to put enough effort in not to fail too many classes, to really help clarify like what is important to me and what do I really ultimately want in life. I don't think we have to plan out our careers and know what we're going to do forever, but to have more of a sense of our values and what we care about and what matters. And I do think, maybe you won't feel this way as you're listening to this, but I do think that the current generation has a better sense of the importance of this. But how do we actually figure that out? How do we clarify that? And how do we decide what the right decisions are for us? So for me, after going to business school, I soon decided to become a business and leadership coach. I really found that I love helping people talk through and work through these things. But after years, kind of doing a deep dive into leadership, personal development, reading lots of books, listening to lots of things, doing thousands of hours of working with coaches for myself, doing trainings, and then eventually getting to work with now hundreds of leaders, I was still having trouble actually putting all these lessons into practice. Right? The rubber wasn't quite hitting the road. I had all this information and knowledge, but I was having a really tough time doing it. And I was still a jerk, even though I had read all this stuff. So what really changed for me and what I learned that made a huge difference was that I can actually change the way that I respond to what's happening in my life. And the quote that really made the difference for me was by Viktor Frankl. So he wrote this book, Man's Search for Meaning. And what he said is that between stimulus, so what happens to us, and response, there's a space. And in that space is our freedom to choose our response. So just to unpack that a little bit more, between what happens, what goes on, and how we react to what happens, we always have a choice. And I remember hearing this, I was listening to it on audio, and I just pulled over and it kind of washed over me. Like, oh my God, maybe this is how to be less of a jerk. And then I pulled back out onto the street. Someone cut me off a minute later. My finger goes up. I'm honking the horn and screaming at them. Right? So there was no space between what happened and how I reacted to what happened. But what I've realized through all this reading and training and learning and now getting to do this with others is that we actually can start to train that space, that muscle that is sort of our awareness of our response. And so we've kind of, this is just kind of to set up a little bit of what this umbrella of mindfulness really means, because this is a buzzword now, right? We're always hearing, oh, let's try and be mindful. And I think a lot of folks are hearing, like, I really should be meditating. This is something I'm supposed to be doing. And yet I think we all have different ideas of what that is. And for some of us, feels really hokey, right? A little too crunchy granola. Like, oh, I don't think I need to sit in silence with my eyes closed, you know, light a candle and pay attention to my breath. That seems really boring or just weird. Completely understandable. And that, as a jerk, I had no interest in that. So it was really helpful for me to hear about some of the research and the science that really clarifies these practices, and also to hear that the military is bringing this in. So Marines are doing these, and instead of meditation, maybe we call it attention training practice, or focusing our attention on what's important. So kind of going back to the beginning of what really matters. So as through Party People, I think we've sort of discussed a few different sort of umbrella topics that we can fit some of these skills underneath. And this is where I think it just depends on what audience we're looking to, you know, where students are, what we're looking to sort of fit into our programming. So one of which could be this idea of mental fitness through mindfulness, right? Or we can change any of the language, but mental fitness through mindfulness or awareness training. And this really helps us just start to recognize what I'm speaking to, that the mind can be trained. So one of the simplest research models that I just love to share is from Dan Siegel, and what he actually shows is a hand model of the brain. So I'll just show this really quickly. So picture your brain, kind of from the side is your fist. You even do it along with me if you want to. So you just tuck your thumb inside your hand, close your hand down over the top of it. So this is your brain. And you're about to become a neuroscientist, right? So we're going to do it really simply. So at the bottom is your brain stem. This is the oldest part of your brain, your reptilian brain, you sometimes hear it called. Then there's your limbic system, which is sort of the middle here. And within, sort of right between those systems, is your amygdala, which is what our thumb is representing. So the amygdala, maybe you've heard the term, but it really controls our fight, flight, freeze, faint response, right? And then the top here is our cortex, and right up front is our prefrontal cortex. Think of it as your fingernails. That's kind of the earliest part of your brain, and that's the part that only humans have and really helps us to integrate all of our learning. Kind of our decision making comes right up here from the front, right, in our prefrontal cortex. So that's where that response really occurs, right? We choose, when something happens, right, that person cuts me off, we choose our response from the front of our brain. But the input first comes in through our fight or flight, right? So that system has to decide not to do anything about it. So another example might be if you get in a fight with a friend, or hopefully not a professor or a counselor or a family member, right? Have you ever gotten in a fight with a family member, and a few minutes later, you're out of the situation now, maybe it's a couple hours later, and you sort of reflect back and wonder, why the heck did I tell this person that I really care about how much of a piece of crap they are, or why I hate them, or whatever it might be, right? If we regret something we've said to them. I think many of us have had this experience. But why does that happen, right? You're the same human sitting here thinking about it that you were an hour ago, screaming at this person. What's going on there? Why do you wish you didn't do that? What's actually happening is that as the argument occurs, what do you notice in your body when you're getting in a fight? Right, your heart starts beating more quickly. Maybe you're breathing more shallow and quickly as well, right? So your body is actually going into defense mode, right? So this is, again, simple neuroscience, but you're going into this defense, and your body's releasing cortisol and adrenaline, and eventually sort of that, all of those chemicals go up. And what happens is your body's saying, wow, it feels like I'm in danger right now, right? My heart's beating, the breath is, we must be, running for our lives. So we actually shut off. What happens is we flip our lid. So the prefrontal cortex goes offline and we're just in fight or flight mode, right? Let's survive this lion attack and then we'll get back to making good decisions afterwards. But we got to live in order to do that. Our body doesn't know, our brains don't know the difference, right, between this argument that we're having or this email that we got about our, final exam being moved, between that and being attacked out in the wilderness. So knowing this, what do you think you can do to help avoid those regretful words, right? That reaction, that response. This is where these practices really come into play, right? Is that we start to know that this is occurring, and this actually has been shown to work with 4 or 5-year-olds. I think grandparents are a good experiment as well, but young people really can understand, right, that this is kind of what happens, and they actually can walk up to you and say, hey, I think I'm about to flip my lid. I need to take a minute, right? And maybe we have strategies on our own to use that time, but there's also a lot of science around these really basic practices, like following your breath, taking really long, slow inhale through your nose and letting out through your mouth. Something as simple as that. And this is something a lot of professional athletes are doing now. Almost all Olympians put these practices into play, right, to really help their mental fitness, their mental toughness before they go in, because they know they're going to be activated, right? They're going to have adrenaline and they want to keep it regulated enough so they can make the right cut, make the right move, make the right decision, answer the correct question on the test, right? Whatever it might be, we keep ourselves regulated. And, for me, hearing this science and this information helped me realize, like, oh, I guess maybe there is some benefit into this, and I still don't need to use incense, which is great. Like, there's other ways to do it. So that's a small example of some of the practices. I think the other piece of research that I find really helpful to share there is that they've actually shown that the gray matter in our brain grows when we do some of these attention training practices. And they're really as simple as picking an anchor, something to focus on, noticing when our mind wanders off and coming back to that spot. So it can be something physical in the room, it can be sound. We often do it just walking. So just walking and pay attention to the bottom of your feet. So if you don't like sitting, it's totally fine. What we want to do is have some weight to start to exercise this muscle of our attention. And what happens is over time it grows and we're able to be much more focused, much more resilient, not letting these thoughts that just pop up in our brain yank us around all the time. So the mental fitness through mindfulness is one topic we've talked about, but also something a little bit more on the career side. So something like getting paid to do what you love, right? Or really finding a career that it matches with what matters to you in the world. And while we do some of these practices, I think it's also important then to bring in some values exercises. So this is actually a lot of the professional development that's happening out in large companies and organizations, but we don't always find as much in higher education. We're doing so much of this cognitive work that we don't always do some of the inner work that can really help us apply, again, all this knowledge that we're taking in. And then maybe the last one could be something like real-world leadership, mindfulness, and relationship skills. So again, applying some of the same concepts and certainly the same research, but to doing slightly different practices. And one example that I'll show just for this one is this idea that when we're having that stress response that I talked about, science has actually shown we can have up to 7 thoughts at once. So 7 different things bouncing around in our head. I'm going to simplify it for right now. Let's say we're just going to have 3, right? So if there's 3 thoughts in your head, and maybe going back to the example of being in an argument with somebody and sort of getting ready to say something, right? So a thought comes up like, oh, you're going to say that about my skills, my performance? What happens is that because we're so stressed and our breath is short, the thoughts are really close together. So we're just going to picture them like these balls, right? So each one of these balls is a thought. Now, if I told you there is a black dot on one of these balls, can you pick out the thought with the dot on it? Can you see that? Absolutely not, right? It's moving far too quickly. You don't know which one, and they say something, and then all of a sudden, your next thought comes out, right? It just blurts out. You don't even think about it. It's the one that happens to be there. What research has shown is that if we're able to slow ourselves down, right, through some form of breathing, relaxation, just calming ourselves, acknowledging we need to take a moment and space, then there's a little bit more room in between the thoughts, right? You can pick them out a little bit easier. And what happens is, and what research has shown is that if we can ignore the first thought, right, so just let that one fall, and then let go of the second thought, this third thought, if this is the one that comes out, we're much less likely to regret what we say, and it's much more likely to be effective, right, and get us the results that we want. So this is not only about our well-being, but it's about our performance, our connection with others, and just having some degree of training and repetition in these practices can really, really change the way that we're relating to school, to work, to our lives. Just really help us to be more the person that we want to be, hopefully, and have a little bit more fun in life as well. And for me as a jerk, it's been really helpful to bring a little bit of humility, recognize that we're all imperfect. Like, it's okay that I'm making mistakes and that these thoughts still occur in my head, but I can choose not to let them come out, right? And wait for this third thought of hopefully some kindness and respect, curiosity instead of judgment. And it's just made a huge difference for me. And the last sort of story I'll share is that before the 1950s in our country, Americans did not exercise. So can you imagine that? There were no gyms, no place to work out really, right? People still probably went swimming and horseback riding and hiking, but only because they needed to get somewhere or because they wanted to. There wasn't this awareness. There was little research claiming all these benefits that doctors tell us today. And now we kind of either exercise or wish we wanted to exercise more. I think most of us fit into one of those two camps. Right now, it feels like meditation is on a really similar trajectory, where there just wasn't a lot of awareness in our culture that these attention training practices can have such a huge benefit. And now they've been around for thousands of years, right? Every religion has some aspect of these practices baked in. But when we secularize, take the religion out and just bring the practices in, we've actually been using fMRI scans and to learn all these things about the brain. The reality is we can apply them in a way that doesn't feel heavy or this huge commitment, which is something that sort of helps us in the moment and then over time can really strengthen that muscle for us as well. And maybe I'll just leave you with my favorite proverb. This is an African proverb because often it feels like we need to figure everything out ourselves. And I think as social creatures, it's really important to not feel like we need to do it by ourselves and we can actually do this together. So the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I'm just inviting you to join us and come try this out together a little bit more. So thank you.
That's awesome, Peter. Jim, do you have any questions before we let Peter go?
I have a ton, but I think a lot of this, to keep to the time schedule for Peter and for us, we'll have to pick up directly. But real quick, Peter, the one thing that I wanted to ask is that if a school delegation has heard your concepts and has a specific need, would you be willing to work to try to tailor that coaching experience around that particular need?
100%, Jim. Absolutely. To be honest, that's what I do most of the time. That's, I know we have set up some options, but those are, I think, just to get us thinking. And I think it's really important to tailor the messaging. Again, the practices, the science don't change, but if we can really tailor it to best relate to whatever audience we're speaking to, I think that's the most effective approach by far. So I would love to. That's my preference.
That sounds great. I have more, but I'll cut for time here. But we'll catch up. I know you and David are together, and we'll reconnect here again soon.
Absolutely, I'd love to get a reading at some point, Jim. So we'll work on that. That's awesome.
That's great, Peter. And I didn't know you could juggle as well. You've got something to show as a new dad. You can show that off.
Yeah, once we get back live on campus, you can go out as I'll have Lisa contact you to be a balloon artist and a juggler.
Perfect. I did do a little circus art. So the juggling was more just sitting on the bench playing baseball, but not playing. I got the basketball spin down pretty well. I mean, I got a few others. You know, it's about using them to help the learning and not show off and boost the ego. So that's the balance I'm always trying to stretch. You know.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you both.
Thank
so
you.
much.
We'll we'll talk next week, Peter, and give you a little wrap up of how things went and any comments we got.
Sounds great. Best of luck with your showcase. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
Peter.
All right, Jim, we're going to go back out into the warehouse one or two more times, but certainly this time we're going to talk to Tom out there, who is going to show us about paint kits. So Tom, once again, the floor is yours.
Hello and welcome back to the warehouse. Again, my name is Tom. And just a little background about myself. I studied illustration at UConn, so I have a little bit of background in art and painting pictures. And a few years ago, we started facilitating paint nights, where we would gather 50 kids, 50 students at a time to learn how to paint a picture. Usually it was from scratch, you know, such as this. And here's one example of many. And we would go step by step on how to paint this. This is something that we can provide via Zoom. We can do larger groups of up to, I believe, 500 people, who can watch step by step as I instruct them how to paint a picture. Now, the paintings they will paint are not as large. We're doing this virtually. We're sending out product or the supplies to the students. If this is an event that you would like to do, this is what the students would receive. They would receive an envelope with an 8x10 stretch canvas, a selection of paint, and a selection of brushes. And we can log into Zoom all at the same time, and we can go step by step and paint a 8x10 picture together. A little different than how we do it on site. The students need to provide a little bit of supplies. They might need to grab some paper towels or a rag, some cups, water, and possibly a paper plate to use as a palette. But we give them all the basic supplies to paint a picture. Another option for students to do, or for you to choose, is a custom paint night. The students don't necessarily need to log in together to do it, but they can get a quote-unquote paint by number kit in a way. Not exactly paint by number, but this stems from a request from a school a couple years ago. School wanted, I'll say it, Quinnipiac University wanted their clock tower. We wanted to paint the clock tower. I couldn't figure out how to teach kids how to draw a clock tower and then paint it in 2 hours. So what we decided to do was silkscreen a drawing of the clock tower onto canvases. And then the students were able to paint the clock tower. Now, I instructed them how to paint it, but they could paint it any way they wanted. They could use any colors they want. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of the clock tower anymore, but that's moved on to other things. Here's an example of, I believe Franklin and Marshall wanted a picture of a dome that's on campus. So I took their photo, silkscreened a rough drawing onto the canvas, and then the kids paint over the drawing and use it as a guide. This does not necessarily have to be just applied to photos. University of Bridgeport requested that they paint their logo, so again, silkscreen the logo, and the students painted it whatever color they wanted. Mostly purple, because that's their color. And then we have custom designs. Franklin Pierce requested a Day of the Dead design, so they didn't really have a picture per se for me to do, so I had to draw a sugar skull, some sort of sugar skull design, and we all painted sugar skulls together. Again, a couple of options, activities for the students either on campus or off campus. We can send the kits out to them. Again, the paintings are are smaller dimensions, just out of the way that we're doing this virtually now. But there you go. That is a virtual paint night.
That is awesome, Tom. And we're going to bring back Jim onto the Zoom call shortly. If I push the right button, there we go. Get rid of me down there. We don't need double me. And let's see what we got here down here. And let's go to there. And that was a little rough transition for you. How's that?
First go round, lots of mulligans here, Dave.
That will hit the cutting room floor for the recording on that issue. So Tom, we have done probably, I don't know, 25, 30, 35 pub trivia nights.
They've been fun.
And I've really got to get, why don't you go into it, see if I can change me to my proper person here. So go ahead, tell us about pub trivia.
Okay, pub trivia. I mean, if you've never participated in pub trivia before, many people gather at a restaurant or bar, separate themselves into teams. They usually pay for admission, and there's usually a cash prize at the end, but we go through 8 to 10 rounds of trivia questions. Whichever team has the most points by getting the most questions right wins. Now, there are, I'd say, about 70% of the rounds are just questions, trivia questions. Additionally included are, there's a picture round and a audio round. The way we do this on Zoom is that if we have enough people log in, we separate the people into teams, into breakout rooms. During the question period, everyone gathers in the main room, and then once all the questions are read and sent to everyone, they go off into their breakout rooms and confer and answer the questions. Once they have all the answers, they send them back to us, and via the chat, and then we tally up we correct their answers, see how many points they have, and then move on to the next round.
And what am I doing at that point?
What Dave is doing is watching people. As I correct answers, Dave is watching people on Zoom. And if you do crazy things, make them laugh, make them chuckle, he might award your team bonus points. Just for bringing a dog into view, or suddenly, hey, mom shows up in the background. Hey, you get a point for having mom on screen.
I think it was April.
Various little.
I think we did one in April, and I'm sure we did one in April. But remember the one with the Christmas tree that was still up in April?
Yes.
They got major bonus points on that.
It becomes more interactive the way Let's Make a Deal kind of becomes interactive. I will be honest, if a school does a series of these, they're not as interactive in the first one, but they get it. and when they come back the next week, they're raring to go to grab Dave's attention, because bonus points always make or break a team. Again, we can facilitate a lot of people. If we get enough people, I think it's above 30 people involved, we can break them into teams. If it's below 30 people, then we might decide to just have them play individually. But that's about it, I think, for trivia. Did I forget anything, Dave?
I don't think you did. My normal name in trivia is the Banker Bonus Points, but I didn't have a chance to change that there. But I think you covered it very smoothly, and I did notice that you went away from your Star Wars background.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom, a couple of things. You had mentioned the series aspect of it, and I think for schools that are looking for engagement on a regular basis in the virtual world, it is one of the few events that we can do virtually that builds on itself. As you said, I mean, we can do this in a competition format eventually, depending on what the school's needs would be. And we can book them to make sure that students are aware that at a given time, on a given day of the week, something along those lines, that they have the opportunity to participate. So even if they missed on a given Tuesday night, they can get back in on the following Tuesday night and get into a rhythm or a flow. And for organizers and student programmers who are looking for ideas that are minimally impacting of their individual times, it's an event that, again, you guys have run and we've run successfully throughout the course of the spring. So there's not a lot required from an advisor or a campus activities board president. They can just log on, make sure everything's going well, log back in at the end of the event. We've got the rest of it. So that's more for our audience members, just to give some thought to. If you need an isolated event, it's certainly a good event to do. But if it's something where you're looking for a lower cost type of program to build a series, that's an opportunity as well.
And this is a solid event. You're looking at a good hour and 45 to get through a trivia night, give or take a few minutes. And like the scavenger hunt, this is very customizable to your school or location. We can have a round built on trivia of your school or whatever topic or theme you would like.
Yeah, I think.
In on that, Tom, because I mean, you've done a great job back when we were in a live format for most everything that we did on coming up with topical themes, or whether that be around a holiday or superheroes or whatever it is, and you've come up with a number of those types of themes, which make it accessible and fun to be part of a series. So you're not doing every single week, although you can. There's opportunities to have, this Tuesday is superheroes, and next Tuesday is something else. So I think I'm forgetting all the themes off the top of my head. Do you want to run through any of those?
Well, we've done superheroes, comic books. We've done, I think around Oscars, we did a movie themed one. There was we did 8 rounds of food. It was trivia of food, I believe, and they had a whole food theme going on at Anna Maria College. We came up with a pack of just about Disney, Harry Potter, just kids stuff. But with enough time, the whole trivia night could be customizable. It just doesn't have to be one round, too.
Yeah, I just wanted to point it out to the people that are watching out there, because, I mean, they have any number of choices out there when it comes to pub trivia, but what I have heard back from our clients is that the thematic aspects of it, and then the fun in terms of the subjectivity of being able to get bonus points and things like that, it makes it a more fun than just, you know, building an app and answering some trivia questions. So while there will be schools that do some homegrowing of this, it's something that what we're offering is the ability to do it professionally on a regular basis, especially with some series with themes that have been well thought out and a layer of building interactivity over the time of the series. With the bonus points from, what did you call yourself, Dave? Banker Bucks? Or
On the banker bonus point, I may have missed it while I was getting ready for the next scene. But Tom, did you go through that? We typically go through 7 rounds, and we have an audio and a picture round.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Perfect. Well, it is 3:34. We've been going for two and a half hours. This is basically the wrap up now, and we're gonna start. We're gonna go back out into the warehouse one more time, and I'm gonna go make sure that they're all set out there. But this is where we're gonna wrap things up. And if there are any questions coming in on the comment section, we can certainly answer them. Hopefully, answer them now. But we'll also talk about what is in the future for virtual from Party People, and one of the events is out in the warehouse getting set up right now, and it will be ready, I would say, within the next 4 weeks for prime time. I think, Tom, did you go over some of your new ideas during the novelties?
I didn't talk about the draw your own thing, color your own thing. I can talk about that now if you like.
Yeah, why don't you do that, and I will make sure we're ready out there, and go ahead.
Okay, well, one of the things, this is even before COVID, I was trying to make, the process of putting images and text on the process we use for transferring those images and text onto mugs and pennants and buttons and things. It's called sublimation. And like a lot of the things we make, it's interactive to a point as far as the students go. I mean, we take their picture or they give us text and then we make it. How do we make that more interactive for you? And one of the things I found was sublimation markers. Now the kids could draw whatever they want with these markers onto paper, and then they can give us the paper and we can transfer it onto a mug or a water bottle or whatever. We don't need to use that for virtual. Virtual actually allows us to take anything that is sent to us. And that's one of the highlights of this, is that we are not bound by what we have on site. So what we can do is make designs for whatever product customizable by the kids, by the students. We can send them, I know it's hard to see because of the bright lights. This is a camper mug, an enameled camper mug. But what you see here is our logo, and that was just a outline drawing. Now, students can download this drawing, say it's your school logo or theme or whatever. They can color it in, print it out, color it in, scan it in, or take a picture and send it back to us. And we'll put that on a mug or a button or whatever product, and then send it to them or you, or however, which way you want to distribute it. It's a way to make kids more interactive with the production, and that's my new thing right now.
Brings in an artistic element rather than having your favorite meme stuck onto your mug or your picture of your grandma or whatever else. I mean, I think it can also be blended from there's so many different things that we do that when we're in a live format, we talk about like a dream catcher, which is a more comprehensive, time-consuming, keeps people around the event from a retention standpoint. But it's also more individual in the fact that, it's authentically being done by the individual student. And I think that's what this brings to the particular event, even though the engagement aspect or the retention aspect isn't necessary in a virtual world. So I thank you for that. That's good information. Thank you.
All right, so let's see what we have out in the warehouse. I'm gonna pop in on Rick, who's out there right now, and look at that. We've got a craps table. So Rick, we have developed a virtual casino night, or very close to being able to offer a virtual casino night. Tell us a little bit about it.
Hi, thanks, Dave. First of all, thanks to everybody who's watching for sticking around so long, and we're really excited about all these new programs that we're able to offer. And this casino night is something we've offered for years and years, and now we're excited to be developing this virtually, so that in this COVID world that we can give you guys something exciting, give you that casino feel from the comfort of your own couch. So we're just working out the bugs, but we're pretty sure we're close to it. We've got a great scoring system, or a way to keep track of players and their chip counts. We're working on, as you can see the table from above, and you can see the dealer from the front. So for blackjack, craps, roulette, some wheel games, we're going to be able to offer a night where we can have multiple players at each table, and actually give you the opportunity to move from table to table with the chip count that you have. So at the end of the night, you'll be able to cash out your chips virtually. We'll know that, and that process will actually probably go a lot quicker and smoother than actually having to physically count them all out at the end of the night. Again, we're about 2 weeks away from having the final product ready for you guys, but by sometime mid-fall, we'll have this thing all ironed out. As you can see here with our craps table, we're using a practice craps table at the moment, something that can fit into the screen that we're using currently, but during the whole, once this is ironed out, you're going to have a full 12-foot professional-looking mahogany craps table. Same with the roulette wheels, where we're going to have a nice big mahogany wheel to work with. So you're going to see the same stuff that you would see out on your college campus or your corporate event, right on the comfort of your own screen. Basically, just like you see here, we can roll the dice, we can deal cards, and players can play. We would have name tags here so that Tom Rosa, Dave Hume would know where their chips were when they wanted to move from table to table. We have a system in which we will, here at the table, cash you out, count your chips, log it into a live working document so that each dealer can see. So when Tom Rosa goes to the blackjack table and he's moved from the virtual room in Zoom from one breakout room to another, the dealer at that table will know Tom Rosa's here. He'll know how many chips he has. Therefore, we can then just dole out the amount of chips that Tom has, and we go to it. Our dealers will be placing the bets in front based on what the players want. If the school or organization wishes prizes to be given out at the end of the night, that can also be done. And therefore, all of the accurate chip counts will be there pretty much live. So every player will know what they have, because their chip pile will be in front of them as it normally would be. They could see it, and then when they move to the next table, seamless. They'll be able to get that same chip count as soon as the host puts them from one breakout room into another. So thank you very much again for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to serving all of our long-standing clients, and we're also looking forward to the excitement of welcoming new clients to the Party People. And this gives us the opportunity to branch out not only from our local service area, but to service the entire country, or really anywhere we want to, or any client that wants us. So thank you very much, Dave. Thanks very much for putting all the hard work into this. Tom has done a fantastic job through this whole thing, helping create all of the virtual programs he's gone over with you guys this afternoon. And Jim is working hard behind the scenes as well with Scott. So we're happy to be back here. We're happy to be ready to serve you guys as we always have. So please feel free to go into the chat, ask Dave any questions. We'll be happy to get back to you. Dave, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Rick, that was better PR than Jim and I did in the last two hours. Thank you. We'll go back to the Zoom and let Jim wrap this